All right, a very, very good morning to you. It is Feel Good Friday right here on the show. It is that time you've been waiting for with your girl, Aziza Hashim, and of course, Kama Kawaida. Welcome back to the show. We are live on Ebru TV. And being Feel Good Friday, it's all about some good conversations, some pretty good music, and just all things good. And today we have another very, very interesting topic for you. I've been waiting for us to have this conversation because it's long overdue. Boy child. So the boy child is suffering. I remember when I was talking to a few people about this particular conversation, especially the men that I work with, and they had a lot of opinions, and that's what we want to discuss today, because we usually say that we don't want to dwell in negativity. We don't want to dwell in the negative aspects of things without finding the solutions to them. So on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the everyday man, the everyday modern man rather. So what are some of the struggles, if they do happen in that case, what are some of the struggles that men actually go through? Number one, what are some of the challenges that are posed to them? Why don't men want to speak out? What are some of the toxic masculinity traits that are engulfed in society that push men into depression, that push men into suicide? Today, we're going to be talking about all things men. So if you're a man back at home, why don't you talk to us today? I want to pose that challenge for you. I want to pose that challenge to you, rather. So why don't you talk to me? Why don't you let me know how you're feeling right now? Why don't you tell me some of the struggles in your mnapitia? I remember someone was telling me just in this studio, the way we as ladies usually drive men into depression, because the man is already going through so much pressure just because they are men, and they put unnecessary pressure on themselves, or rather you put unnecessary pressure on yourself because you believe that you need to live up to certain things. So today we need to demystify some of these traits that are pushing our men to depression. So vile huyo beshte yangu alikuwa ananiambia, alikuwa ananishwa ati nyinyi madem by that ndo mnatufanyanga tukwe depressed. Ukishaona beshte yako tu amenunuliwa hii, amefanishiwa nyumba na boy wake sijui nini, sasa unakuja kuniekea me pressure, and maybe I just don't have. So how can we ensure that we establish that level of understanding whereby men can just be men, men can just be themselves, men can just be open, and we as ladies, because I know you do interact with a man at any single point in your life, be it a colleague, be it your father, be it your brother, be it your cousin, be it whoever, you have men surrounding you, and we need our men to be strong right now. So why don't you interact with us as well? You already know the drill. To do that is pretty simple, easy capeasy. Get on your social media platforms and tag me at Ebru TV Kenya. I'll be sampling out all of your comments. You all know I don't disappoint you. I don't. And I'll never disappoint you. So at Ebru TV Kenya across all social media platforms, except for Facebook, which is Ebru TV KE. You can also use the official hashtag NewDayKE when you're tweeting. I want to see those tweets coming. I want my phone to start buzzing. Today I even have two, so that I can juggle between your tweets. I can juggle between your messages. So you can also send a WhatsApp text. You can send in your paragraphs. And to do that is also pretty simple. 0777-672-230 is my WhatsApp number. Get on interacting. Get on your keyboard. Type. I want to see those paragraphs. And last but not least, I want you to call in live. I want you to get your phone, and why don't you just let me hear your beautiful voices? 0115-885797 is my number. Keep on interacting. But right about now, of course, before we go for a short musical break, I need to introduce my guest. You know, the best person to talk about this. He's very relatable. He's a counseling psychologist. He is Kagondu Jr. Y'all know the conversation is about to be heated. It's about to get hot in here. So sit right and sit tight, because inaenda kuwa moto kabisa. Amekatwa hapo hivyo kidogo, steam down with some tea and everything, but he's gonna be here and it's gonna be hot. So make sure that you're not missing out on that. But right about now, let's go for a short musical break. We're all about some old school music, so let the music take you away. Where there was just some good music. You know, good music just does something to you. It brings you good vibes, takes you to memories. You know, when you think about something, izo memories inakuja na that particular song that was playing. Anyway, how are you feeling? I hope you're loving the show so far. Welcome back to New Day. It is Feel Good Friday. It is definitely, Yani, a good day to feel good. And on today's show, before I introduce the topic, I need to introduce Kagondo because he actually wanted to respond to what I was saying. And number one, you know, we didn't plan for this gray to happen. We actually did not. Like,
didn't,
yo,
yeah.
we're matching. And gray is my favorite color. You're looking fantastic.
You too.
How are you?
Doing well.
How have you been?
Been fantastic. Yeah, we thank God.
Happy?
He Kenya too, bado.
Oh, good.
Building Kenya, bank Kenya, building Kenya.
Yes,
and a lot of support to our brothers and sisters out there.
Yeah.
With these times, during this pandemic, they need us, with the emotional support, psychological support.
Yeah.
And as zingine hata kama financially, we can't support them, but we are there for them. We create time for them. Yes.
And it feels good to have you back on the show. It's just good vibes. It's just like having a conversation.
This is family. This is family. And I just love the audience. They just make us, love what you do. Because we are here for them. And of course, you also make a very good host. And we always look forward to this day.
I'm a bit shy. I can't cry because I don't want to ruin my makeup. But anyway,
yes.
Thank you so much. Karibu sana. In case you're joining in and you're wondering what is happening, we're going to be discussing, or rather, I'm going to be chatting with Kagundu about the conversation of the day, a conversation we've been waiting to have. Kagundu Jr. is a counseling psychologist, best person to have this conversation with. I remember tumeko tukiongelea kitu, and it's just about time. It's been way overdue. And I remember as I was telling you guys about the conversation, before we went for the short musical break, we were talking about boy child. Oh, boy child. Boy child and a struggle, anafanya nini. So there's a lot of conversation when it regards the men or the modern day man in this particular time, because there's a lot of pressure that men actually go through, be it from within, be it from the external environment, since yani kuwa mtoto kabisa. Because unasikianga, the girl child was empowered and the boy child was forgotten. So is it that the boy child was forgotten, or what exactly happened? Where did we go wrong as a society to the point that now the boy child is just becoming a statistic? To the point that tunasikianga tu, men are very, very depressed at this particular point in time. And how do we, especially as ladies, contribute to it? And how can we do better? Because at the end of the day, this world was made for both men and women, and we both need to be okay. A lot of effort was made to ensure that the woman was okay, but now what are we doing to ensure that the man is okay? Now the reason I was trying to ongelea we ladies is because when I was coming here, I told you about that story. A very good friend of mine hapa hivi tuko studio, yani alikuwa ananiambia vile, nyi mademu najua mnatupatianga pressure mingi sana. Nikipita pale kwa newsroom pia naambiwa, nyi mademu, hii conversation ya leo ni mzuri sana kwa sababu you give us a lot of pressure. We already have pressure from within. So this aspect of pressure and what some of the challenges that the modern day man goes through, what are they? And I want to hear it from you, because I've told you my perspective and the men that I actually tried to talk to. So what do you think? Is the boy child going through, or is the modern day man rather? Boy child is a bit, so is the modern day man going through challenges? What are they? How can we solve them? How can we finally open up without having some aspects of toxic masculinity? Send in your comments, send in your questions, send in your solutions so that you can help somebody else. You never know who you're helping. So my numbers are pretty much simple. Kama kawaida, hazijabadilika, 0777-672-230. For WhatsApp, send in your paragraphs there. My phone is already ready. I'm waiting for it to buzz so that I can read out all of your comments. And official hashtag is NewDayKE. Interact, tag me anywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. At Ibru TV Kenya across all social media platforms except for Facebook, which is sorry about that, Ibru TV KE. And last but not least, yani leo hata nawaomba tu favor, yani tu 0115885797 is my number. Why don't you call in live? Unajua vile unasikiaga vizuri ukipiga alafu unajisikia sauti yako. Hebu washeni TV huko kwa sitting room nijisikie. Yes, do that. It is your time to shine. Call in live. Ask all the questions you've always wanted to ask, because this is a conversation that is way overdue. We need to have it right here on the show. Ask, and Kagundu is here, best person to discuss this conversation with. Nimeongea sana, now let's head right into it.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Ukisikia tu yo boy child.
Boy child.
Tuanzie tu hapo, because it's a tag that's been put, and I feel it has a negative connotation to it rather than positive. Oh, boy child. Immediate reaction.
With the tagline or even the tag name boy child, I tend to feel it's socially constructed, you know, with all the expectations, the roles that a boy child should be playing. But when you look at it, it has an element of cultural orientation to it, and also, you know, coming from history, you know, we see a lot of transitions that have taken place, and also a lot of similarity when it comes to how we perceive the boy child to be. Okay, so when you look at this, there will be a slight difference between who a boy is, who a girl is, who a man is, who a woman is. But you see, in the modern day, we have had women, you know, talk about what a man can do,
a woman can do better.
Okay, and to me, we all do. We live in duality. There's a lot of similarity. Okay, but when we tend to, you know, separate both, then it does do a lot of injustice to the boy child, because you tend to hear about, you know, men should not cry, but the boy child should actually portray this courageous, you know, this man or this person who is so courageous, not strong, you know, without even expressing their feelings, even how they get to feel, okay? And this is why with this time and age, and especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen a lot of cases whereby there's a lot of killing, a lot of violence, because the man out there, they are wounded and they're hurt, and they're just trying to express themselves. And this is why I feel that the conversation today will do a lot of justice to the men out there, and also to the family, the many women, the many ladies who are suffering as a result of, you know, the effects of where the boy child has been placed by the society. Yes.
And we need to take this slow, because when we have this conversation, I believe there are people back at home who believe, mi sioni ka boy child anapitia challenges. I don't see any challenges that the modern day man actually goes through. So number one, is the modern day man actually going through challenges? Is it a fact? So we know if this conversation is actually important to look at.
It's quite evident. The other day we just had the results for the Class 8, the KCPE. And true to the word, we had the number 1, 2, and 3 ladies, which was not the case before. I'm not saying that ladies should not perform well, but we should have a balance. I think in the top 10, if I'm not wrong, we only had 3 boys. Okay? And that tells you this is a wanting conversation, something that we need to look at, okay? And there's a lot of challenges out there, you know? Like you were saying, your colleagues at the studio, you know, when interacting with them, when I interact with my own colleagues, you know, at the workplace, out there, as we heal nations and transform lives, you know, there's a lot of expectations that is placed on our shoulder. The burden is too much, okay? So a good scenario to be the young men in the university, you know. We have ladies there who are also coming from, if not from their parents, but they also have their own guardians, okay? But what happens every other weekend, you know, today is a good feel good Friday, okay? And they say today is Furahi Day. And if it was during those times when we had the normal way of schooling, sherehe, sherehe, that's a good one. I might use it somewhere, but I'll quote you. Yeah. So you find that as we go out, as much as, yes, we have those Miss Independent ladies, but the norm is, and the expectation is, the dude is the one to sort out every other bill, okay? What you forget is that you're also depending, say, on your parents, okay? You know, for the upkeep and all that. As much as, yes, we have a few who are working hard in terms of the day-to-day hustle, they're selling the motumba, also doing some makeup, you know, and they're doing some pretty good work, okay, besides the classwork, okay? But you find that all the expectations are placed on there, and you have to make sure that the girl gets to, you know, feel nice, and they're sorted out, you know, if it is what you're taking, you know, as you go out, be it food or even the drinks, it's up to the boy child. Chenye atavaa, even the means, you know, you have to pick them. If you don't have the means, then Uber, sindio? And if you can't afford that, and you have to say boda boda, you know, mimi sipigwi na upepo, okay? So
lashes zitaanguka.
Zitaanguka. And you see, this will be a lot of the weight is so much on this boy child, and that is only a young man, say, in the college. What about the man in the home? okay?
Yeah.
So there will be a lot of demands when it comes to this, and this is why you're seeing that in most cases, our men in those homesteads, in those families, they are quite struggling. You know why? Because they were the breadwinners, and
Yeah.
with the COVID, you find that they have lost their source of income. So what will happen, you know? And everybody is looking up to them. So the challenges are there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you've talked about that aspect of the man being overburdened, which is quite a fact for most men, especially who are in university, for most men who are even just living their everyday life, not necessarily still studying, but wanaume wa kawaida. But now this aspect of, because we need to diminish some of this stereotypes that we have, or mambo kayo, and establish where the root cause of the problem is exactly. So there's this point of women have been over-empowered and we've forgotten about the boy child, we've forgotten about the man. So what is the truth in it? And if there's the truth in that fact, where can we now provide the solution for it?
Yeah, you know, I'm not saying this because I'm a man.
Yeah.
I belong to this class over the boy
Yeah.
child, and
Yeah.
you know, when you tend to look at it from that angle, people be like, you know, you are more male oriented, you're pro male, you know,
Yeah,
and
you're being a chauvinist.
you're not even considerate to your brothers and sisters. You know, I have sisters, and I've been raised by women, you know. I have had women around me, you know, and I know the importance of a lady in one's life, okay? And this is why I believe so much into, you know, getting to empower the women and the girl child. Because I know that it's a fact that when you get to educate one lady, you know, the whole community will benefit from that, okay? You know, women are so good when it comes to nurturing, you know, taking care. I think this is something in them. But when you look at what is happening, the root cause of all this, you know, like you're saying, with issues to do with a lot of stereotyping, maids, the way that we define, and this is where we get to ask ourselves, is it that we do have toxic masculinity, or is it that we lack role models for all this, okay? So the girl child has been empowered, which is okay, and I'm so okay with that, because when I look at my sisters who have done so much, you know, doing so well in the university, one is working, the other one is still in the university, and I'm just happy because I know when we come together as siblings, we'll be able to do more. Our level of engagement will be totally different from if we didn't have that capacity to, you know, we were not empowered at equal length, okay? But you find that, yes, we have empowered the girl child, but we forget that who is going to marry this empowered girl child, okay? This is why we need to have a balance.
Exactly.
Okay, and as much as, yes, we want to put so much effort into supporting the girl child, raising the girl child, ensuring that they have everything in place, but we don't have to forget about the other gender, okay? Because in most cases, the reason why you find that there will be a lot of abuses is because we don't have a balance.
Exactly.
I have not traveled quite a bit, okay, far and wide.
You will.
But the few countries that I've been to, and we can pick a case example of Rwanda. You know, for them, before their current way of life, you know, after the genocide and all that, they were more of French oriented. You know, they did their stuff in a French way. And you find that, you know, when you talk about the French, there's an element of being romantic, you know, putting the girl child first and all that. And when you look at this, when you go to that country, one of the things that shocked me was that in most offices, you find that the senior people in the management, it will be women. The ones that are driving some very good vehicles, it will be the V8s, you know, it will be women. But the men, it will be probably, you know, doing the hard work in the factories, out there, not in the offices, okay? Which is okay, because we perceive men to be strong, you know, when you talk about the stereotyping and the maid. Because for a man, they have to be strong. They don't have to show emotions. You know, they have to provide. You know, they have to be big. They have to be masculine, you know, by nature, okay? And this is the expectation that is out there. And I found the same culture also actually trickling into our country. Bit by bit, because we find that in those senior offices, yes, we have women, okay, and I'm not saying that we should not empower them, all right? We have seen that Probably the new CJ, it will be a lady, which you thank God for. Okay, in our neighboring country, we have a female president. Okay, Mama Suluhu. Yeah? And I should be bringing some sort of solutions. Okay,
but you've brought out a very important aspect. When now we empower the girl child, how are we preparing the man? Because at the end of the day, we were born to have men and women.
Yes.
So at the same time, how are we preparing the man for the empowered woman?
And that's the main challenge, because if you're out there and you're a lady, you have done well, you have your master's, probably working on your PhD, it's quite a bit of a challenge to find a spouse, okay? And this is something that is quite evident. Why? Because the man out there, they fear, you know, because they're like, you know, this is an empowered lady, so how do I get to engage with them, okay? If you have a very good job and you have a good pay, many will also fear approaching you. If you're so beautiful, people also fear you. Men out there will also fear you. Why? Because they feel like they don't have the capacity to engage with you. And true to it, you find that most of them are, most of the ladies who are empowered, be it academically or even at the workplace, most of them, they will be lonely. Up there, it will be so cold for them. Why? Because there are few people that, the few men that want to interact with them. And now, asking about how do we get to prepare them, you know, for this empowered lady, you know, this is where I say that the difference between, you know, where we get to ask ourselves, is it that we have toxic masculinity, or is it that we don't have role models for these men, okay? Because you find that we have so many absent fathers. There are so many families where you find that the head is the woman, the mother, okay? So we don't have a role model. And I've seen it, you know, with the young men that I'm interacting with, you know, the ones that are coming to me for guidance and all that. And when you have young men who are being chased away, say, because of indisciplined cases, when you get to dig deep, then you find that there's some lack of good role models in their life, okay? So you find that there's a lot of identity crisis. They don't know where they belong. They don't know how to conduct themselves as men, okay? So I always make a joke that probably the reason why I'll keep some beards is because I didn't have somebody to show me how to do the shave, okay? And it's because I've shared this before, that we had some challenges when it came to how I related with my dad. You know, initially he was into drinking, though today he's clean, and we're working on the relationship. But when I was growing up, when I needed a man to actually be there for me, to show me, to tell me what I'm supposed to do as a young man, what is expected of me, you know, when you get to interact with even girls. Nowadays, I make jokes with him, and I'm like, by the way, mulipatanaje na mam. Okay. What are
Does he actually tell you?
You know, of course, it would be a bit of a bit uncomfortable for him, you know. But I'm just trying to initiate the conversation, just trying to get to pick, you know, cultivating on what that which we need to work on in terms of the relationship. That tells you that many men out there, they don't have role models, okay? And I have a good friend of mine, you know, Paul, who we work with so closely. And I remember him saying that, you know.
That's Paul Tandy?
There's a Paul Njoroge, there's also Paul Thandi, who we also hold these conversations with. And one of the things that we have realized is that it's quite evident that men out there, young boys, young men, they don't have role models. People will guide them, show them how we are supposed to do, what we're supposed to do in terms of the needs and the roles of a man. But the thing is, there are some homes that we don't have men. And you find that out of choice or even out of, you know, circumstances, you find that a lady is raising her children alone, okay? So it doesn't mean because she doesn't have a man in the home that these children should be left out, you know, in terms of they should not get a role model. Remember, she could be having cousins who are male, also brothers who can also come in a very big way. And this is where the society is also failing us. Because I know initially we used to say that, you know, when you get to interact with the old people, they were saying that a child belongs to the society, okay? And it's up to them to ensure that they are brought up in the right way. And today, they tend to shy off. You know, this is not my baby, who si mtoto wangu, this is not my family.
Anasema by that, mimi usishike mtoto wangu.
So you find that the gap keeps on widening. And what do they do? They tend to look for role models from some funny characters. Like there's one who was going through some initiation, and I was asking him, my good friend, so who is your role model? And he was telling me somebody by the name 6ix9ine. And I'm like, who is 6ix9ine? You know, I've never heard of him. So I came to realize that this is a musician. So I was like, which is your favorite song? Done by him, and you'll be surprised, you know, by the name.
I can only imagine, because I already know 6ix9ine Tekashi, and it's okay.
Yes, and you see, if this is the role model, what do you expect from them? You know, and it's quite evident that most of them, you know, out of lack of a good role model, they'll go out there looking for somebody who they feel could fit into their shoes, or even they'll be able to relate with them. And you see, with the media, it's so powerful, and that's why I always tell you, you know, what you're doing here today, it's so powerful because you're touching so many lives. Okay, and when they get to engage with some toxic material by the name of looking for a role model, then we get it wrong. So it should start off from by the time that they're growing up, as you bring up the children.
And just sticking there, because that's a very important aspect, because we need to take this step by step.
Yes.
There's that aspect of, I'm sorry to name it, toxic households, where you've been raised within certain circumstances and being pushed with certain pressures and just unnecessary expectations and all that. How does it play a role in now the kind of men that we have right now, the kind of men that are depressed, the kind of men that are not, or rather, was the mantle even passed from the men that we had Kitambo to the men that we have right now?
There's a very big gap, and this is where the challenge is. And I think I mentioned this before, that when you look at this country and also the entire continent as Africa, during the time of colonialism, where we had the white men coming in, you know, trying to, you know, to try to convert us into this religion, this way of life, there was a bit of a challenge there, because we find that men were taken away from their families, put on those concentration camps. And it's not only in Kenya. I also found the same scenario in South Africa, you know, having so many men, you know, poached from their own families, put into the city, you know, to work for the white man in the farms and all that. And the families were left alone, okay?
Exactly.
And I can relate this with my grandfather, you know, as we were sharing. He's now long gone, and he may rest in peace. And I remember him saying that, you know, when the white man came and we were put in a concentration camp, it was almost for 7 good years, 9 years, okay? And this is such a long time to leave your family alone. Okay, that tells you if he left out a young boy of 1 year old, he'll find a grown-up. This is somebody who is in their, probably in their class 1, class 2. They already know what is right, what is wrong. They have also picked a few things from the people that they're interacting with. And there's a very big gap. When you talk about the mantle, was it passed on? I find that this is now where the rain started beating us, you know, whereby the culture, our way of life was taken away from us. So that tells you that during that time when there's a lot of learning that is taking place, you know, as you interact with those people around you, remember the family is the first school that you go to, okay? And as much as, yes, you have your mom will show you affection. They'll show you, you know, this is how you get to feel, and you'll be so in touch with your emotions, okay? And when you look at a man, a male figure in that family, it will be all things to do with identity, you know. This is the man that will bring out the lion in you if you are a man, a young boy, okay? And when you miss out on this, then this will also catch up with you later on in life. And this is where you find that, yes, today, we do have men, and they could be grown-up men who are children within, you know. This is a child in a grown-up man suit, okay? So that tells you that they have not transformed into to the person that you expect to see, you know, the person who is in charge, who will show direction to their family, you know. This is the guidance that we need, you know, because the man is like the priest in the home, okay? And when those 7 years were there, and the men were taken away from their families, then that means there was a very big gap, okay? when they came back, there was also a lot of toxicity. You know, when you talk about the interactions and all that, remember the human aspect of them was also taken away from them. You know, a lot of abuse took place in those concentration camps, a lot of you know, vulgar language, you know. And for them, the man that they were, this is not the same person that came back to their family. So you expect that they will have a close relationship with their children. Not really, you know.
Yeah,
and
because they're also as traumatized.
Yes, they haven't dealt with those, you know, they'll call them demons, you know, the unfinished business, you know, a lot of the trauma that they went through. They also, it was also trickled down to the family. And that's why when you talk about the families that we're coming from, you know, you find that there's an element of passing on of some behavior, some character traits, you know, from one family, from one generation to another, okay? And I'm always happy. It's good that I also give my own case scenario. When one of my dad's brother tells me, you know, when I look at you, I see your grandfather. You know, your grandfather used to do stuff in a certain way. The way that you conduct yourself, there will be a lot of similarity that I'm able to pick, you know, that your grandpa had. And when I look at him and his son, there's also a lot of similarities.
Okay? So proving the fact, of course, that there are a lot of traits that are passed in from generation to generation.
Yes.
And we're going to come back because we need to go for a short break. When we come back, we need to take a look at this just unrealistic expectations that we have as society, some of the built-in anger when it comes to men, some of the depression, and just generally take it to a different level. Absolutely. And I'm glad that we are indeed having this conversation. So we'll be taking a short break, but when we come back, it's only about to get hotter. I can see my phone is already buzzing. I want it to buzz more. Watch out, you should just send in your messages. We'll do the thing right here on the show. All the information will be at the bottom part of your screen right about now, where you can interact, where you can send in your questions, where you can send in your comments. And when we come back, I want you to give me a call. I want you to just get your phone and give me a call. 0115-885797. All the rest of the information, oh my God, will be at the bottom part of your screen. We'll be right back after the break. And today we're having a very, very interesting conversation. A conversation, as I stated earlier, that was way, way overdue. And before we went for the short musical break, we were talking about the boy child, the modern day man. I have to say boy child because that is what most people relate to, but it has the negative connotation to it, of which I understand. So the modern day man, what are some of the challenges that the modern day man goes through? We've talked about how your childhood or where you were raised plays a role in the toxicity or who you are as a man right now. And we will be delving deeper into that particular conversation as we try to understand why are some of the men that we have these days very depressed? What causes that? What are some of the unnecessary or unrealistic expectations that we have for our men? Iyo toxic masculinity inafanyaje wanaume wanakuwa depressed? Why do men just want to talk about things? Because I remember telling Kagondo before we went for a break, me as a lady or for any lady, when you're going through something, autakagi kuweka, like I cannot keep it, I cannot contain it. I either have to call my mom or my sister and tell them that, yo, your girl is depressed, like I'm going through the most. I will cry about it and I will make sure that by the time I finish that, I'm okay. So, but you find for a man, you're usually told, aufai kulia, like unalia aje, that's so girlish. So does that actually play a role in making a man not want to speak out? We'll be delving deeper into that. I can see that there's some women who are sending in some comments. Well, we'll be looking at them in a few minutes. But anyways, keep on sending yours. As I told you earlier, all of that information as to where you can interact with me is at the bottom part of your screen. So get on Twitter, get on Facebook, get on Instagram at EBTV Kenya on Instagram and on Twitter. On Facebook at EBTVKE. Official hashtag is NewDayKE. I can see y'all are already using the hashtag. I love it so much. 0777-672-230 is my WhatsApp number. I want to hear your paragraphs. Send them as soon as possible. So by the time tunaangalia comments zenu, yako ishamuoki, yako ishafika vile inafaa ama vivi. Anyway, last but not least, I want to hear your beautiful voices. 0115-885797 is my number. Get on your phone. Piga simu lakini usinipige reverse call. Anyway, welcome back Gondu.
Thank you.
Uko fiti kabisa. Lazima ni check because unajua ni family. So we say that family should take care of each other. You're good?
And you see, we really get that. you know, when we get into our families or even Nambogetu, you know, with our crew, okay? Really do we get to hear that, such kind of a question. How are you feeling? How are you doing? And I really appreciate. I'm doing well.
Okay, so before we went on a break, we were talking about the family setting, and I feel that for any aspect that we're going to bring up, there's obviously that role that your childhood plays. There's obviously that role that the external environment actually plays, and there's that role that you as a person actually play in making the men depressed, as we stated. Because so many people told me yesterday that topic mnenda kuongelea, I just feel men are depressed. Like, we just need to know what is happening. So that's depression. Number one, are men really depressed?
Well, it depends with how you look at it, because everybody is prone to, you know, the manifestation of some of these mental health conditions, even depression. And when you talk about a strong man, you know, who is so masculine, and they all perceive this brave face, it doesn't mean that we don't get depressed, okay? We also get that, you know, and as much as they'll be talking about women are so emotional, women are so into, you know, their feelings and all that, we also get depressed. And it's only that we don't want to come out and express ourselves. What we do, there's a lot of masking that will be taking place. Every other man out there doesn't want to portray a weak figure, you know, a weak image of themselves. You know why? Because the norm is from the family, the children. If you have kids, you know, they look up to you and they want to see this strong character in you. Or no matter what is happening, you know, around you, if there's no finances, there are some challenges that you're facing as a family, you know, they expect you to do well and to portray this courageous personality, which is not the case. And what happens is, and you know, I'm just concerned that men, especially during this time, they don't have some opportunity to go out there. Okay, they are there, which they are sneaking into some of these pubs and all that. We're able to see this, you know, they are trying to run away from the authority, you know, as a way of just trying to express themselves, or even work on the challenges that they are facing, just to ease enough, you know, with the life pressures that they are facing, okay? And when you find men in those bars, it's not that they love it, but this is only that they feel safer there. You know, as much as, yes, they are depressed, they are facing life challenges, very few people out there are willing to lend them a listening ear, okay? So what they do, they want to go to those pubs. And let me tell you, those bartenders, the ladies that you find there, the men who are also selling beer there, and especially women, you know, the bartenders, the waitress, they make very good counselors for these men who have gone there. Why? Because they'll go there complaining, and when the lady who see them not doing very well, they ask you, hey, man, you know, you're not the same. Kukwaje. And they'll all pour and to the, and they'll be telling them, you know, at the workplace, this is what I'm facing. At home, akukaliki, you know, it's quite a challenge. And what they do, they, you know, they feel safe there. And that tells you that they don't have a safe space where they're able to express themselves. At homes, when they go, it could be that, you know, well, when you get to hear such comments that men are full of ego, men, they don't want to, you know, support, they are not willing to be there for their family. Remember, they're also struggling. And when they're facing one of these challenges, remember, when you talk about the mental health issues, there's a lot of stigma that is surrounding all that. So you're a man who already you're stigmatized by the mere fact that you're of this gender, boy child, or even a man, and adding into that, you know, you also have some sort of a mental health condition. So that becomes double tragedy for you, okay? And when it comes to even how you get to express yourself, it's a whole lot of a challenge for you. And that's why you find them going out there. And they'll say, today ni furahi day, we are going to take one for the road, nitakunywa kidogo nipunguze mawazo, because they want to go, at least when they're a little bit, you know, feeling better, back to their families. So when you talk about the issues to do with mental health, they don't know whether these conditions, they are not meant for one gender, you know, and it doesn't mean because I'm a man, I'm not prone to that. They do manifest in us, and we also struggle with them.
Yes. So it is a fact that there are some people, especially of the male gender, who are affected by depression or some of this mental health issues. So tukiangalia contributors, I know we've talked about how your childhood, how you were raised as a kid contributes to who you are right now. We've also, I've hinted that aspect of sisi kama wanawake. We have a way of just pressurizing this man. Mimi ni mwana bishti yangu by that, amevaa heels kama za Aziza, so I want them. So maybe boy wako anajua ama ujui vile Aziza alipata hizi heels zake, or maybe it's just, there's just that pressure. So what are some of these other contributing factors that pressurize men?
You know, when you talk about the triggers or the issues that will lead to, you know, the manifestation of these conditions, we have put it very well, you know, when you talk about the family and also ile mbogi yako, you know, the clique that you belong to, because we find that they also do a lot of disservice to these men. And we are not friends to one another. As much as, yes, we'll be hanging around talking about Manu Nasenali, you know, the big investments that a certain company is making, and this is where we need to, you know, place the bet, because we feel there will be some good returns. But when it comes to the personal issues, we are not there for one another. And you find that we tend to be the first enemy, the number one enemy, you know, and especially when you're facing issues, challenges, life issues. Yeah, I've seen men who have been who have lost their jobs, yeah, and instead of coming together to support them, what do? We point fingers and we laugh at them. You know, you can't keep your job, yeah, so that means you're not good enough, okay? So there's a lot of negative vibe that is coming from their male counterparts, who should be the first, you know, to support their own, all right? And when you see this, this will tell you what will be happening at home, you know? If your own clique is not supportive, then at home, then you don't get that support that you require. So that tells you the only thing, you know, most of them, they'll be giving up. And that's why within this time and age, you find that the majority of those who are taking away their lives through suicide, it will be men, okay? And it doesn't mean that women, they don't attempt. Yes, they attempt more. But remember, for men, they tend to be a bit vigorous, and, you know, their male nature, they just want to get into something with all their strength. And when they want to attempt suicide, they also do it in a very big way, okay? So you find that they won't just take Panadol, you know, as some concoction, but they will look for the highest building, you know, to throw themselves from the top. And when you look at this, that tells you that, you know, they're so determined. And when life fails them, when there's no support, there's nobody who is clapping for them, whenever they are trying to do their best, then they just give up. And this is why we also need to build resilience with the people that are around us, with the young children. It's very important that you also support them in such a way that if there's nobody who is out there who is clapping for them, that they can also be their own number one fan, okay? Because you find that if you don't have a strong will, which has not been inculcated in you, then that means you definitely give up, you know, whenever you face a challenge. And that tells you that from the time that we raise these children, when you talk about the family, some of these families, they have done such a big disservice to these men. You know, from the time that they are nurturing them, that they are supporting them, you know, we don't support them in such a way that you build resilience in them. So you find that that element of giving up, it will be so easy. Then look at the life itself. There's a lot of pressure that comes with it, you know. Every other day, there's a lot of demands, okay? So if we were to maybe come together, and yesterday we were sharing with a certain friend of ours, one of our mentors. We also have mentors, and that's why I was telling you about role models. You know, he was telling us about how he's supposed to do stuff when it comes to the family. And at times, you find that, yes, the demands are so much when it comes to how a man is perceived, you know. When you have a harambe, say, in the church, I don't know if this happens in the mosque, okay? Yes, we're coming from the same family, but who will be contributing the larger amount? It will be the man, okay? If you're going for the chama, who will be contributing?
The man.
The man, okay? But when it comes to that time when you have the returns, are they part of
It is for us all.
For us all, okay. And you find that for the women, yes, when they get the returns, most of them, they will tend to keep it away from their male counterparts, okay. And that tells you there is an issue to do with trust that has come to play, okay. And when the demands are so much and they don't have the capacity to even take care or even manage that which that they're facing, then they're also prone into, getting into depression and almost giving up. And that's why we also need a lot of support, say from their spouses or even their family members.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you've named some very, very important triggers that actually push men to depression or put unnecessary pressure on men. But do men also put pressure on themselves?
Yes, when you talk about the expectations, what the world out there needs from me, the role of a man. And this is where we need to look at in terms of the culture, what is a man expected to do, Yes, I'm supposed to be the one ensuring that there's continuity, of generations, in our lineage, in our family lineage. And you find that if I don't have that capacity, then it becomes a big challenge, okay? And especially where you find that, like in most families, most cultures, having a boy child, then this is, it's like a jackpot, As much as, yes, we talk about the women and we'll be paying dowry for them, but you are guaranteed that there's some future in your family. So remember, the society has portrayed a certain image of a man. If it is a family, then if you don't have children who are male, then you have failed as a man, okay? So for you, you are going to do anything that you can to ensure that you have a boy child in your family as a child. And if this doesn't happen, then there will be a lot of, internal, yes, and you're all in chaos because you feel like you're not man enough. Okay, in a time when we need to provide for our family, also becomes a bit of a challenge because it's expected of a man to actually be there for their family and not only providing in terms of, say, their basic needs, but also in terms of their security, comfort, and also financially, which is very important. And if I don't have the capacity to do all that, then this becomes a source of the stress that we're talking about. Yeah. So I know that I'm expected to be there for my family, but how many men allow themselves to be in that space, to be so vulnerable in such a way? It's okay for them to be at that low moment, In most cases, what we do, if I know that I don't have, I have lost my work, and I'm no longer employed. You see men waking up early enough, suiting up, and they get up. Okay, just to portray that they still have the job, okay? And that tells you we are not okay with who we are. We are not okay with that space that we are at this particular time. So there will be a lot of unnecessary pressure because it's just a matter of communication, and you get to bring your family together, my family, my wife, my children, this is what is happening with me. And as much as I want to be there for you, I might be limited. Probably we were doing 2 chickens in a week, but we might be forced to do 1 chicken in 1 meal, okay? So that tells you that you need to communicate with them because you're okay with the kind of a person that you are. But do we allow ourselves to get to that level? No, we don't. Why? Because we ourselves, we have been, there's a certain way that we have been cultured. There's a certain way that we have been, the way that we have been built in terms of the expectations that we get from the society and what we have learned from the people around us. We can't allow ourselves to be that low. And that's why whenever we have emotions, we find that we tend to run away from them. We don't want to engage with them. We don't want to feel the emotions, So we become our #1 enemy.
Okay.
Yes.
Whoa, that is very, very mind-blowing because I didn't think that the pressure that we put on ourselves or the pressure that men put on themselves is because of all the societal expectations. And I want to dwell there a bit because some of the expectations that we have of this is how a man needs to be. This is how a woman needs to be, because hii conversation yote yenye tumekuwa nayo imekuwa ikitrickle tu hapo hivyo tu vile a man is supposed to provide, a man is supposed to do this, a man is supposed to do that. There's certain, okay, when it comes to gender roles, there are certain things that men do and there are certain things that women do. But where do we take it so far as a society, and where does it now become unrealistic societal expectations?
You know, when you talk about vulnerability, this is where we get it wrong. You know, we don't allow men to be
Vulnerable.
human. Yeah, to be human, okay? You know, we are taken to be superheroes. You know, this is somebody who can't even, they don't feel pain.
Yeah,
You know,
they're immune to
they're
all of
immune
that.
to everything, okay? And I remember, you know, when you see a young boy crying, Neil, shut up. You know, I don't want to see your tears. Men don't cry, okay?
Wasichana wanakuangalia watakuchekelea.
And I think this is something that we saw on the media where we had, they're just trying to work on something just to portray how we perceive men, you know. And we had a young man, you know, harassing a lady. And every other person who was around that place, they were, you know, up in arms, you know, trying to protect the girl child, okay. But when the women, you know, the lady was harassing the man,
yeah.
you know, they were laughing, pointing fingers, you know.
Sasa wana wewe unafanywa nini na msichana?
You're not man enough,
Yeah.
you're not strong enough. Why, you know?
And why are you letting that happen?
Okay?
But is that really the problem?
And you see, this all goes back to, you know, the expectations, the roles that we that we have, as much as we're talking about the male and the female, the man and the woman in the society, talking about the expectations, you know. You know, biologically, yes, you may have a certain structure, okay? There's that to differentiate you from a man, okay? A lady from a man, okay?
Yeah.
But there's also that expectation of, you know, you should be strong. And for women, they're a bit weak. And who tells you that a woman cannot be stronger than a man? Who tells you that a woman cannot earn more than a man? Okay, it all depends with the opportunities that are placed on us, you know, and how far you get to go, probably with their career, you know. And going back to Mama Suluhu, you know, just looking at the husband, and I was like, man, you know, this is one confident man, you know, who we can't, many men won't stand. Whenever you see a woman thriving, then you tend to shy off, okay? And this is out of what has been placed on us. You'll find that there are some things that you can't do as a man just by the mere fact that the society perceives us in a certain way. For me to be in the counseling field, you know, there will be a lot of vibes, you know. Mwanaume anaenda kusikiza stories za watu. Unajua, mwanaume ako in touch with emotions, you know, and they don't expect us to be that way, okay? So it becomes like it's something from the mass. For me to be in such a field which is dominated by women. The same case, you know, it happens when we have ladies who are engineers. You know, we like, hey, huyu ni kichwa ngumu. You know, I can't interact with them, and probably if I bring them home as a spouse, they might end up beating me. So the thing is, when you talk about the gender roles, it's socially constructed, and I feel that we get it wrong, and especially where we become a bit, you know, we take it a bit far, too far, and especially with expectations and the roles that we need to play.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's very, very important, because everything that you're mentioning right now is things that we hear on a daily basis, especially that analogy you used about the man maybe beating up the woman, and everyone would be up in arms, like, what kind of a person are you? And now when the tables turn, we're not condemning the act. We're condemning the victim who's being attacked. And the man doesn't even feel free enough to call himself a victim, because you think that if I do, oh, misi mwanaume, wesi ndume by the of which is absolutely wrong, because what we're trying to do right here is demystify all of this stereotypes that we've had, all of this toxic, just characters that we portray as society, so we can do better, so we can ensure that this doesn't repeat itself. You've talked about the aspect of, no, I wanna deviate from that a bit. I want us to take a look at a very important thing that I've mentioned before on the show that a friend of mine told me. And this is how, for our generation, for our age group, you find that a lot of the girls are very, very motivated. A lot of the girls are working so hard, and you find for a person maybe within my age group, they'll say, and this is something that I was talking or chatting with a friend about. So alikuwa ananiambia, mi siwezi date mse ako kwa age group yetu, because those men are very, very lazy. They don't want to do anything. They just want to play PS the whole day and bet and bet and bet and keep on betting and keep on losing money on betting. So I don't see that there are men to marry we'll have to wait such a long time for new ones to be born for us to even actually marry. So that statement really caught my attention. I was like, whoa, it didn't have to get here. So, and you find some of these things that are being brought out are actually true. People that you went to school with right now, unapata compare, you're maybe trying your best and someone is just at home. Number one, when you talk to this man, you find out there's a lot beneath that. So what exactly is it?
You know, when you talk about that, that takes me back when I was doing my undergraduate. And I remember there was a case scenario that we had with a lady who had not attended school, you know, classes. I don't know how she was able to do her cuts and all that. But at the end of the day, she was able to get a very good grade, you know, not even, you know, engaging like we were. You know, and when you have those moments where you are not appreciated for that which that you have done, then it can be a very big demotivation to everybody, even for you, you know, when you're not appreciated for that which that you're doing, for the efforts that you're putting in place, okay? And this is actually what is happening out there. And when you look at this, we also need to appreciate that the times have changed. There's also a lot of influence when it comes to technology, you know, the imagination issues, you know, with the modern man, young man especially, okay? When you talk about issues to do with addictions, they're there, you know, with the non-chemical, you don't have to be addicted with substance abuse, but you find most of them are so much into gaming, okay, which is a day-to-day engagement and also an easier way, you know, to make it in life. Per se, you know, this is what they normally say, you know, you just have to place your bet and within a very short time, you're the jackpot winner, man, you know, instead of going through the normal
hard way.
Yes, but look at where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, remember we talked about the role models that we have. Most of these young men are also coming from singlehood, you know, families whereby they are being raised by women, okay? Which I'm not saying that women cannot make good parents. They do, okay?
Yeah.
But if you have not been exposed to a hard-working fella, a man who,
a male figure
who is, you know, up in arms, you know, waking up early just to ensure that their families are fed, what do you expect from this young man?
Yeah.
It would be total chaos. And this is why we're saying that it has been a journey all the way from the time that we had, you know, the white man coming and the effect it had on our young men, okay? And it's not only in Kenya. You know, when you talk about, I can't marry a person from my own age group, you know. There's a time I was doing some farming and I had gone to a certain part in central Kenya. We were doing farming with a good friend of mine, James Mwenda, yeah, wherever he is, thumbs up. Ile kutuma salamu.
Which salamu
itumwe, yes. And I remember we had gone to this particular place where we were engaging in some farming. And, you know, we were looking for laborers who are male. You know, you tend to think that we'll be able to do more when you have male counterparts with you, okay? And to our shock, we only found women, okay? And when they came into the farm, they were telling us, they were asking us, where are you coming from? We are not used to this, seeing young men working, you know, and especially toiling, you know, going to the farm, because they are used to a lot of, you know, engaging with illicit brew, you know, and for them, it's easy money for them, okay? So they will engage in supporting or working in those, the brewing sites, and they are rewarded for some very small money, okay? Or even a cup of changa, you know? And that tells you that the young man of this time and age is really in deep trouble, okay? Because most of them, out of, you know, even getting to know what is expected of them, they have no idea what they're supposed to be doing. They have no idea. And that tells you that they don't have somebody that they can look up to. If these young men who have just done class 8 and their role model is 6'9", you know, what do you expect from them? It would be wanting for them in days to come. This is somebody that you can't expect to really engage when it comes to, you know, initially when I was growing up, when I had my grandfather, we had to work. and you had to earn the pocket money that you
given.
you had to earn it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had a shop, and we had to engage every other weekend, or even during the holiday. You had to. So the issue is that we have men who are looking for easy ways, an easy way out, you know, to just walk around life, or even to walk through life, you know. And this tells you that we also have a big challenge with the generation that is ahead of us, our parents, you know. What are they doing to correct all this? Back to college. Every other Friday, you see so many good vehicles parked along the highway, you know, picking our girls. You know, so that tells you, as much as you put out a very good vibe, you know, eventually the weekend, you can't have some, you know, outing with your girl. Why? Because uncle wa Benz amekuja. Okay? So the demotivation, this is the onset of the demotivation. Why should I work hard? Yet I know that there's somebody else out there, you know? Yeah, and this is just a social construction of the expectations that we have, okay? And that means that we don't have very good role models for these young people. Yes.
And I want to stick with you right there, because we bring out a very, very important issue. Lazima tuseme vitu vile ziko kwa ground. Lazima tuseme ukweli. Tuambiane ukweli, so that we know, now that we're talking the truth, how can we then now do better? Your aspect, because I've been to uni, and kuna your aspect masponyo, like kishafika weekend, and I didn't really know how it was affecting the men. I didn't know the impact, because some people would just think, okay, why are you bitter? Like, where is it coming from? And that's something that a lot of people don't know. So ina affect wanaume aje.
You know, when you talk about social beings, human beings as being social beings, this is where it all begins, you know. When in primary school, there ain't much concentration with who a girl is. You know, you're just thinking about your studies and all that. When you go to say high school, that's when you get to realize, oh, kumbe ule dem tulikuwa tunasoma naye, they are now grown up and they look nice, you know. By that time, ushajua kuchoma nywele, kutia manukato, and you smell so nice. But when you go to college, this is now where you tend to specialize. You want to build up for your, to explore, you know. You start thinking about the kind of a future that you want to have. Remember, this is also where you also get to specialize with the kind of a career that you want to pursue, okay? So I'm studying, say, journalism, or mass communication. So that means this will be my line of work, okay? And as you also think about your career, you're also thinking about your family, okay? And there's a girl that you're eyeing, you know, and you feel like this is somebody that you can also make a future with, but they're not available, okay? And when you talk about ego, I appreciate that lady who says that, yes. And it's good that when men have ego, this is what will also make them to thrive, you know? When you feel that you're man enough, when you feel that you're a man of substance, this is what will also make you, or rather take you to the next level. If I don't have ego, then that means every other person will also be stepping on my toes.
So is it a matter of ego or confidence?
This is where we tend to confuse it. Because, you know, if I put out a very strong demeanor of a male, you know, they'll say what?
That is such an egoistic man.
Okay, and we confuse it. And this is where you find that most of the men out there, and especially the young ones, they are not in a position to even express themselves. Why? Because of the fear of being labeled. Okay, this guy has a lot of ego. Okay, and since you don't want to wrong your girl, or you don't want to have some very bad vibe with them, so what do? You tend to shy off, you know, and you don't want to portray this strong character within you, okay? So you find that when this has been taken away, remember, we tend to specialize, and you want to own it, okay? You want to own that space, that moment with this particular lady, but it has been taken away by this particular big fish in the society. And what do? For a way out, an easier way out, they also look for sugar mummies, you know, as a way of trying to ensure that they also have something, you know, some money to make their lady feel better, okay? So now this becomes a roller coaster. So, and it's like payback time, you know? You're doing this, so I have to do this. But remember, back in their mind, they really want you, okay? So what will happen? They will figure out anyway, you know? They will just try what they can, by all means, to ensure they also make you feel good. Kama ni ile nguo, ninataka kupeleka Hilton, na kupeleka Java, okay? Yet I'm a student. So what do? Then I have to engage with the betting I also have to engage with, you know, some funny business just to ensure that I get that money to make your life better, just like the old man is doing.
Yeah, and
So,
we want to back it up because there's a lot that, you know, for every action, there's obviously a consequence. We say for every action you make, there's an equal and immediate reaction, of course, for the people who did physics. Yeah, so when it comes to that, there are usually things that people result into as a way of venting out, as a way of now trying to fit into the pressure that they've already been pushed to. Ukisukuma kwa wall pahali, kuna venye utajaribu kufanya vitu ambazo maybe haungefanya. There's crime, there's a lot of built-in anger and so much more. So what are some of the things that people now result into that maybe now cause us to label men in a certain way?
You know, when you say when one is cornered, you know, the mind automatically changes into a defensive, in the defensive state, okay? You just want to protect yourself. And the mind is aware that it's all danger, you know? We need to gang up, you know, just to protect ourselves. And this is where we are saying that as a matter of, you know, just trying to portray a very good image, trying to make your female counterpart feel so nice, this is where you find that most of them, like you're saying, you know, engaging in some illegal activities. And when you talk about those genge, I've seen in most cases where we find a lot of abuse taking place. Why? Because we know a certain man is taking advantage of our girls. What do? We gun up and we attack them, okay? Then you find that this the sponsor, you know, they'll tell you, I'll sort everything. I'll even give you a very good house, you know, all fully furnished, okay? But I don't want to see not even one single young man in that
house.
So what will happen when they come in unannounced and you have your male folks, you know, coming in for the weekend? Nalikwambia ameenda biashara Mombasa. It all becomes chaos. And we have seen it. We have seen such cases where fights they break out and you find some people getting injured and all that. With the male counterparts, you know, getting to look for sugar mummies, we have seen it happen, you know. These sugar mummy, they also have their own family. What will happen? The man in that family also want to protect their family, okay? So they end up harming or even hurting the young boy, okay, the young man, in the name of, you know, just trying to do away with what is happening. And if they find that quite difficult for them, you know, getting the sugar mommy and all that, this is now where issues to do with the black market comes in, you know. You want to engage in some illegal business. If I know that the drugs are doing very well, we have, these are some confessions that we have had, you know, in our sessions and all that. You know, a young lady, a young man coming saying that, you know, I'm able to make this amount of money within a week when I engage in this illegal business. Probably being a drug trafficker or even selling drugs among to their schoolmates and all that, just as a way of trying to make some easy money. If not the case, then there will be a lot of stealing. Okay, remember they are so energetic. Yeah, they're able to, you know, maneuver. They have the latest technology. We have seen some digging deep into the ground just to ensure that they get into a bank, and with 6 months, you know, doing that, and within days they are caught up. You know, and they end up losing all that money. So they will do all manner of stuff to ensure that they're able to earn that living that they want, which is not, which is taking their girls away. And we are also seeing a lot of cybercrime, you know, trying to hack into some systems just to ensure that they also get to earn some money. So you find that out of trying to make a living, you know, they engage in stuff that also lead them into trouble. And we have seen so many of them, you know, serving life sentence, you know, some jail term and losing their youth in the process. Yes.
Which is absolutely tragic, and we don't want to keep on losing our men. By that ratio, our men to women already is.
You'll be surprised, by the way, when you go into this recorrection center or even in our prisons, you know. I'll just name the ones that I've been to. Probably we can pick Thika, you know, where I come from. Thika, there's a time that we had visited the place, and just before Corona, and in the male department. We call it the
Male
main
cells.
prison. Yeah,
The main
we
prison.
had close to 1,000, inmates. Okay, men. All right, and when you go there, most of them they'll be within the age brackets of 20 to say 35. These are very young people who can be reproductive in the country,
And
building a family.
why were most of them there?
It would be such cases, crime. It would be anger issues, okay? And out of that, they tend to, hit somebody, and, that would be like assault or even attempted murder, and you know what happens. That would be life sentence. Contrary to that, going to the women department, you find that there are only around 67, 70. That ratio is so wanting, okay? And when you talk about we don't have enough labor force out there, when you talk about that we don't have role models for these young children, most of these men are in those rehabilitation centers, say in rehabs, talk about mental health institutions, talk about the prisons, serving their sentence. And this could be people that will also help us to nurture these young boys, into men of character. Yes.
Yeah, and I wanna dwell on that a bit, because as a man, you're always told, like, and I remember, I want to start with this comment because this is where it all comes from. There's someone who has talked to us and sent us a text on WhatsApp, and yani ilinishtua. There's someone who says, "Hi dear, hi to you. I'm Judy Piri. It's a feel-good Friday already. That we appreciate, and we're very glad that you're having a fantastic time on this show. The boy child has ego, pride, and tends to keep things to themselves. Unlike the girl child, for me, I just let it out. It helps to keep me sane." And I told you about this before, whereby sisi kama wanawake, how we were naturally built. I don't know if it's how we were naturally built or how we adapted to different things in society. The aspect of, oh, mi nikipatana na shida, by that, I will not dwell on it. I will never, ever die alone. Like, I either have to call my mom or my sister or just anyone close to me and speak it out, because that's the only way I'm able to let it out and make sure I'm not sticking right there, because women don't just like to stick there. But now from Judy, we hear that men have ego. Men have that kind of mentality that they do not want to speak out. And I totally understand. It's not their fault. Or it's not, oh, yes, their fault. I know you. Yeah, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
So why exactly? And when we mention vulnerability, because that's something you've also touched on, that aspect of vulnerability, that aspect of men wanting to speak out, mbona hamtaki kuongea?
No, when you look at Kagondo, this is work in progress, and I've come from far.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a time that I couldn't express myself. Why? Because I felt it was not safe for me.
Why is that?
And this is out of what we're touching on, the way that the society will perceive. You should not cry. This is how it begins, right at home. Okay, men should not do A, B, C, D. Okay, then the whole lot of expectations that for this family to thrive, ni wewe. Okay, if it fails, it's up to you. And don't want to if you're the only child, the only boy child. Okay, so there will be a lot of demands that comes with it. And remember, the way that we have it, men, we are told that we only have like 5,000 words in a day. So that's why most of them will try to conserve, the many words as much as they can, so that when they go back home, they'll have something to share with their spouse, okay? Yet for women, it will be 25,000 words. So that also they can, engage as much as they can and still have some balance, for them to engage with, when they go back at home. But that's not the truth. I know every other man, appreciating their different personalities, that they want to speak out, they want to share. And this is, it's quite evident, and especially when a man gets angry, what do? They'll do a lot of shouting, they'll even hit you, they'll even hit the wall. If there's something close to them, the anger is so much within them because it has been bottled for so long, and it's like a pressure cooker, If you're not careful, it can actually, blow up, And when you talk about men keeping to themselves, we we do a very big disservice to them when we're talking about ego and all that, you know. This is somebody that wants to express themselves, but they don't have the space, a safe space for that, okay? And when they don't do that, you know, what do we say? Huyu jamaa kuna ego, hataki kuongea shida zake, anaona anaweza na kila kitu. And I remember as I was growing up, I was being told that, you know, najua umenyamaza sana, you're such a cool kid, you don't like, you know, talking much, you know. But little did they know that there was a lot that has been, you know, bottled up within me. And I remember I had anger issues. You know, if you just triggered, you know, you ngeguza to the wrong button, you'll see me, you know, blowing up, okay? Just because there was a lot that I had kept to myself. I didn't have a space to, you know, engage. Remember what I was saying? At that time, I didn't have an opportunity to even talk about the issues that I was facing. As much as, yes, I had my grandparents who were there, you know, but remember the age difference. They're in their 60s, I'm in my I'm in my teenage. So will they be able to understand what is happening with this generation? You know, they will be saying that each generation ile hatujaiona, compared to how they were doing their stuff, okay? So you find that most of the men, it's not that, and I feel this is a very big disservice that we're doing to them. It's not about the ego. If we're able to provide a safe space for them, they'll be able to come out and talk about the issues that they're facing. What makes you to talk about the issues? You know, it has been made a norm for you, you know, just to express yourself. And you know that when you're interacting with your girlfriends, you know, when you're interacting with your female counterparts, that is a safe space for you. Okay, contrary to what happens with the boy child. If they see me, you know, talking about the issues that I'm facing, you know, that guy is a sissy, you know, he doesn't keep stuff to himself, okay, and there will be a lot of labeling that will be taking place. So the stigma will keep me, you know, from keep me from expressing myself, opening up, talking about the issues that that I'm facing. And when you talk about the big numbers of violence, we have seen that it, in the year 2020, the GBV rose by close to 36%. You know why? And most of the perpetrators were men. Why? They don't have some safe space for them to express themselves. You know, the way that the society has portrayed it. You know, the way that you define a man as a society. You know, this is somebody who should not talk about the issues that they are facing.
And maybe now, as we provide a solution, because we've dwelled on, now this is where the problem is. You've talked about the aspects of role models and the importance of mentorship. Ooh, sorry about that. I believe me and Shafika weekend would. Anyways, I want you to do that as you look into your camera. There's a man seated back at home. There are men who are seated back at home. I want you to talk to that one man and give him a solution. That one man who just finds it hard to open up. That one man who has been pushed to the corner with all the pressure that society puts on that one man. Talk to him.
You know, my brothers out there, you know, it's not easy for us to actually express ourselves. Why? Because the society has portrayed us in such a way that we tend to think that we are heroes, and in wrongdoing, we stop ourselves from being human, you know, getting to express ourselves, feeling the emotions. But remember, it's okay for you to actually speak out. You know, talk about the issues that you're facing, the challenges that you're facing. It doesn't make you less of a man, okay? And as much as they'll be pointing fingers at you, you know, telling you that you're not man enough, remember, by talking about the issues that you're facing, you don't become less of a man. There are safe spaces out there, and I'm so happy with the people who have come up with the programs, and especially ladies. I have a good friend by the name Grace with Masculinity Monday that will provide a very good space for you to express yourself. Men coming together to talk about the issues that are common to them, talking about the challenges that they are facing on a day-to-day basis. And if that is not possible, I know some of you are very good when it comes to writing. You can also do a letter to yourself. Probably you have not forgiven yourself through the issues that you have faced before, probably the hurts that you have gone through, you know, the abuses that you have gone through, and you don't have a safe space to engage in, you know, to express yourself, you know. If you don't find a good counselor, somebody that you can trust, you know, and I'm open, you know, come to me. I'm your big brother, you know, there to support you. I'll be there for you. If you're unable to reach out to me, you can always do a good letter to yourself. it's not being sissy, it's not being less of a man to talk about the issues and express yourself through the letter. You know, tell yourself how you feel, the experiences that you have gone through, and how this makes you to feel, all right? And through that, you find out, little by little, you find that the burden, you know, lowers, and you feel the weight getting lesser, and through that, you'll be able to lead a very normal life. And if all that is not enough, also get a good friend. I know there's somebody out there that you can talk to, a good friend that you can also engage in, you know. I have friends out there, and I've learned the art of speaking out the issues that I'm facing. Yes.
And it's actually quite important, because maybe just to wrap up, because as men, I believe from a woman's perspective, I can see it. I can see that maybe you're going through the most as you're seated there back at home, but it's okay not to be okay, especially for a man. I know it doesn't make sense when I say it as a woman, but trust me that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay for you to be vulnerable. It's okay for you to talk. It doesn't make you less of a man, and it will not now make women not want to talk to you. Every woman wants a man who is in touch with his emotions. So trust me when I tell you that. I know y'all trust me back at home, so trust me when I tell you that it is okay. It is okay for you to beat all of those odds, because at the end of the day, we as women can't survive without you. We do need you to be the man that you've always wanted to be. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Don't let yourself dwell in that pressure. You don't need it, and you don't need to be everything that society tells you to be. All you need to be is yourself, and we will appreciate you. The right women will appreciate you for who exactly you are. So to the man listening to me back at home, you're enough and you are okay. And that's where we wrap it up, because we need to go to weekendy mode kabisa. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in right from the beginning to the very end. And thank you so much for constantly choosing us to be your #1 source of information. Kagundu, thank you very much for being a part of the show.
Yes.
You have mentored us. You have talked to us. You have told us what we needed to hear. And I believe to the men back at home, you've gotten the impact. We love you and we appreciate you every single time. And to the whole team that managed to make this show a success, y'all get kisses. I don't usually do this, but yeah, I only do this to the viewers back at home. But to the men today, it's a special for all of you. Thank you so much. Asanteni sana. I'm not going to leave you high and dry. I'm going to leave you with some music. Again, my name is Aziza Hashim. Have yourselves a lovely day ahead and a lovely weekend. But enjoy this music that I have.